Hi everybody, this is Liz with 143 Handmade. Welcome, welcome. This is the Darlene Michaud Block of the Month Club, and I am doing the quilting on the March block. I'm a little bit behind, you know, the sewing machine broke. It is what it is, right? So what I've got here in my quilt sandwich is my backer piece, a piece of old bed sheet, and then the piece block that Darlene created. And so I have it pinned a little bit just to get me started, but after I do this first round with the embroidery, I will most likely just get rid of the pins because I really hate pins. I really don't like using them. So I'm going to take off just a couple in this corner so that way everything will still stay in place, you know, with all the, I have pins in the corners and in the middle of the sides. So that'll hold everything in place good enough for me to get in here. So what I want to do, get in frame really good, is I'm going to do a blanket stitch, kind of a back and forthy blanket stitch. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Along the outside of the white frame here. And I'm not going to work inside of the white frame because it is just a bed sheet, so it's not like batting. You know, with batting, you have to make sure that you're quilting it closely enough, you know, more densely enough, so that way stuff doesn't break apart and get weird on the inside. Because this is a bed sheet, that's not going to happen. So I can just do my quilting wherever I want. And I don't like it to balloon out or anything like that. And so I did think about adding a little bit of texture or embroidery to the roof to kind of hold that in, but I'm going to go ahead and just go with it and hope that it's good enough. So I'm going to pull this corner back and do my funny little knot. Now, I don't know if this is an official knot anywhere. I mean, probably it's been done before. I'm sure I did not invent this way of knotting on the inside of a blanket. See, I've just taken a few stitches, horizontal stitches, just like a running stitch. And now I'm going to come back across those the other direction. There we go, like so. Just two. I think two is good enough. And that knots it without it being a knot, you know, it lays flat. It doesn't add that bulk of a knot on the inside. And now I'm just going to come up right here in the corner through the top layer. Just was a little bit snug right there in the corner because all those layers. Okay, I'll take 2 seconds to, now that I have that pulled through, to pull that taunt, pull this, you know, make sure everything is laid down good again. Maybe go ahead and throw the pin back in if you're at all worried about things shifting. You know, go ahead and repin. That's fine. Pin if you like, don't pin if you don't like. You know, pins are one of those things that I think it's very personal preference. There is no right or wrong in my opinion. Okay. So now that I have the thread coming up, I'm going to start my blanket stitch this direction by coming down right here, and see, I can actually see very clearly where, because it's a tone on tone white, so you can very clearly see where the white, you know, because that's the way that the seam wanted to go, so that's the way it went. So I have a very defined line that I'm going to be able to work from. So I'm just going to go down that line and then back to the seam. I think maybe I should have grabbed a bigger needle. That's okay. We'll work with it. And now what I'm going to do is go down in the seam. Or no, not down in the seam. I'm sorry. That's not correct. I'm going to hold this along the seam. This is not the best part to show you how to get started on it though, because you can't hardly see because of the black. So I'm just going to do a couple of stitches and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've worked down here to the spot where you guys can actually see the thread and see what I'm doing. And so all I'm doing to do this blanket, this back and forthy blanket stitch, and I'm sure it has a proper name, is I'm taking a blanket stitch into the white, pulling it through, and then instead, so to continue a regular blanket stitch, I would just do that same thing again. To do the back and forthy kind, as I like to think of it, is I go ahead and rotate the fabric ever so slightly so I can get a straight line, because when I was trying to not rotate it so much, they were coming out very angled, which that's an interesting look too. And we could totally do that, but that's not the look I was going for, so I'm going to work on the straight stitch for now. And so put the needle through, loop your thread around to the back along your seam, wherever your straight line is, whatever side of the needle that straight line is on at that time, like so. And so that's all I'm going to do, is I'm going to work around doing that. And then after I have this block most of the way quilted, just like I've been doing the others where I've left the edges because I wasn't sure how I was going to do the join. I have decided how I'm doing the join. So after I get this one mostly quilted, I will be, oops, I didn't see. Okay, here's what happens when you don't loop your thread. Okay, so that's what happens. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. All you do is you just kind of pick it back out a little bit with your finger, or you can get your needle under there and kind of pull it up. And then you just take your needle through the loop. Let me see if you guys can, yeah, it's really focused in on that. Okay, let's see, pull the thread through and then pull it taut again, and there you go. You've corrected your stitch. No big deal. It happens to everybody. So let's see, I forgot what I was saying before I messed up on that stitch. Oh yeah, I have figured out how I'm doing the join, or how I'm going to do the construction, of the quilts itself. And so, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do sashing, or if I knew I didn't want to do the ragging like Darlene. And I know that Nora over at Mostly Quilts is also doing the quilt blocks of the month, and she's waiting till the very end to join hers. And so I didn't really want to do that. And so I'm going to go ahead and join them in a quilt as you go method, but it's different than Darlene's because Darlene is doing the rag method. I will not be doing that. And it's similar to how I've done some quilts before, and I've shown how I've done some quilts before, but it is going to have to be slightly different because I no longer have a zigzag on my sewing machine. I bought my brother embroidery machine. The power supply is messed up, and I'm still hopeful that could be fixed. I just haven't got to it yet. And because the guy quoted me $250 for it, and I could buy a new machine for that. Oh, that was my doggy shaking her head. But then we got an antique. For those of you who don't know, I got an antique that I've named Franny. She's a old Singer 404. But she's the basic model. She has no accessories, no zigzag options, nothing like that. There is an accessory that you can get that allows it to do a zigzag. I have no idea how that would work because of the way that all the gearing is. That's very confusing to me, and I do not have that accessory, so I cannot do a zigzag. So I'm going to have to work out a little bit different method, because my method that I was used to using in this to do Quilt As You Go, that I had decided I really liked, utilized a zigzag, and I didn't consider that when I decided to go ahead and go with the antique straight stitch. But that's okay, it's just something else, instead of it being a problem, it's just okay. No, I get to learn another technique. That's great. Learning is always, I try and learn something new every day. Even if it's just a silly factoid, but something, try and, do something educational every day. something to feed the brain, right? So, and I know there's a lot better ways to hold the fabric and whatnot, but trying to do that and film at the same time is tricky. I'm back sooner than you thought, because I got to this corner and I realized, well, wait a minute. Some people might not know like how to take this stitch around a corner. And so I'm going to go ahead and share what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this stitch right in the seam. Loop my thread. Because that's roughly where it should have been for the green stripy side anyways. There we go. And then, see, now there's my pull point. So I'm going to come around here and come this direction. And see how that just formed the blanket stitch coming this other direction? It just went ahead and naturally moved around the corner. Okay, now I want to take one this direction. String around. There we go. And see, that's how we get our back and forth. And then I will just continue down. And this one, it is a very tiny spot here. I'm going to go ahead and just, I think I'm going to go ahead and just go all the way. Or I might just take teeny tiny ones. Or I might do a variation. I haven't 100% decided yet. I have to make a decision. I'm going to be there in just a second. Yep, it'll be my next stitch. I got to make a choice. So come back soon, and so you can see what I decided to do, and I hope that helps give you guys confidence to go ahead and turn those corners. And it's okay if it looks a little messy. It doesn't, when you're slow stitching something, don't worry about perfection, especially on something like this. You know, a scrappy quilt block. This is an excellent place to experiment with stitches, and if the corners don't come out great, that's okay. You know, you could always come back and, like, if it's terrible, you can always nip it out, you know, and do it again. If you don't want to do that, you can always come back and, like, put buttons here. Like, if all four of your corners here are funky, go ahead and just, you know, put buttons on the intersections that got weird. That would look super cute. Or a little ribbon bow, or, you know, there's so many other little embellishments that you can stitch on top that would hide any of that. Another little piece of fabric, you know, any number of things. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon.